We hear from a lot of readers, how do we get into Facebook before the IPO? There are these two funds that are out there. They've done very well this year. One of them has doubled in price. And the key to thinking about these is that they're not actually funds in the way that we think of like an ETF, the way we think of a mutual fund. So they're really more like private equity, and that in a way kind of makes sense, right? This is still a private company. They own Twitter, they own all these kind of companies where there's a lot of hope baked in, basically. I'm going to get a little wonky here. They don't have to report net asset values every day the way like an ETF
because it's hard, right?
does.
Because we don't actually have public market prices for a lot of these companies, so they've got to effectively mark to model, or they determine their own values?
Exactly. And when they last reported those for the end of March, if you compare what they're reporting versus the market price of the stock, because this is a stock, it's just like a publicly traded venture capital, basically, there was a massive premium in there at the end of March.
Here we have on the screen the name of these two funds. They're not funds, they're not ETFs, they're sort of like closed-end investment vehicles, kind of.
Kind of. Yes, except for those, at the very least, you can have a pretty solid idea what the market really thinks about the value of the underlying assets. In this case, you have a huge gap between the market price, and there's no
so we don't know
whether
what the premium or the discount is.
Exactly.
Okay.
The net asset value could be really low.
They seem to be trading at a big premium, correct?
Yes, they seem to be, but who knows whether that net asset figure is really low. The bottom line takeaway for folks is that it's impossible to know what these things are going to do.
I'm going to give even a bottom line. And I don't usually give investment advice, but if you're this desperate...
You're a Market Watch columnist, you have to give investment advice.
If you're that desperate to get into an IPO, that you're scouring for these kinds of funds that already own it through some private markets and you can't tell the valuation, you're throwing your money away, or you're at least throwing it out there you're pretending that you have some sort of analysis on this when you really don't. And when there's this much hype surrounding an IPO, if you're just a regular investor who's looking to gain some money, just stay away from Facebook at this point. Maybe go after it in the secondary market.